Hello, my name is Anita Whitfield, and I'm the Chief Equity Inclusion Officer for King County. And I'm glad to be here today, February 16th, smack dab in the middle of African American History Month, 2021. As y'all know, issues surrounding public health, specifically the very real disparities in those conditions that affect life outcomes, are finally front and center. We know that here in King County, we are striving to make King County government one with the communities that we serve. We know that due to that, our workforce and our leadership must be as diverse as those communities that we serve. That is why today I am so excited to be here talking to 3 Black leaders in King County government. All 3 whom have dedicated their careers and their lives to working to impact the life outcomes of those who live in King County, especially those who are most in need. With that, I'm going to invite our guests, Sheila, Daphne, and Derrick, to each introduce themselves to you. Please share your name, what you do for King County, and any other things about yourself that you would like to share. Starting with Sheila. Thank you for being here, sister.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here, actually. My name is Sheila Kapostani. I use she, her pronouns. I am the director of our Children, Youth, and Young Adults Division at DCHS, and I'm also our strategic advisor for children and youth and lead for Best Starts for Kids. So, and again, I'm just happy to be here and in this conversation and in this room of power with you all.
Thank you. Sister Daphne?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to say thank you for having me. It's such a privilege to be here with all of you. My name is Daphne Pai. I'm a Health Services Administrator for Public Health. I've been here for over 26 years. Under my responsibility, I have several programs, important programs that serve our King County residents. Everything from the Navigator program with this health insurance reform in King County, our Orca Lift program, our basic food program, helping individuals to access healthcare services, and of course, trying to reduce and eliminate barriers in our communities to get services, really helping folks get quality access to healthcare. And again, thank you for letting me be here with you this morning.
Thank you for being here with us, dear Daphne. Brother Derrick.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. My name is Derrick Wheeler-Smith. I serve as the director of the Zero Youth Detention program through King County Public Health. I'm a husband of, next weekend actually, this coming weekend will be 17 years. Marrying my wife is the best decision outside of my faith that I've made in my life, and I have 3 beautiful children, and raising my 3 beautiful babies, all 3 under the age of 7, is the most important work that I'll ever engage in.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate y'all being here today. So let's get down to the questions. And here is the first question. I'm going to go round robin, so give you each an opportunity to share your comments and your thinking. This first question starting with Daphne. Daphne and all of you, you are all public servants who are committed to transforming systems from within the system itself. Mm-hmm. What motivates you to work for government? Daphne.
My passion. And when I started 26 years ago, I started at Columbia Health Center. Columbia Health Center is in South Seattle, one of our great public health centers. But I remember working with clients who were in so much need. They were being denied services. They weren't being helped. And I made it my mission then to not only to reduce those barriers to folks getting access to services, but to also form relationship with our governmental partners that were making the policies and the changes, to train our staff on how to get people on programs, advocate when they were unfairly denied, and then work with our clients to really motivate them and move them to advocate for themselves. And I still have that same passion and desire today, is to help our most vulnerable and our marginalized communities here in King County.
Thank you. Derrick, same question. Shall I repeat it for you?
Yes, please.
Derrick, you are a public servant. You've committed to transforming the system from within the system itself. And my question for you, what motivates you to work for government?
Yeah, I think my answer lies within the question itself. It's the opportunity to engage in transforming systems. The reality is that any social system is the way it is because the people in that system, at least those who can act on leverage points, want it that way.
Mm.
And in that sense, there really isn't such a thing, I guess, as a broken system. Every organization, every system is perfectly aligned to achieve the results that it currently gets. And I think what motivates me in the middle of all of that is the 401 years of a dysfunctional relationship that Africans, Black folks have had in this country. And there have been lessons learned from our dysfunctional journey, as almost all of the policies proposed as solutions have been detrimental to the progress of the Black community, whether we're talking about redlining, urban renewal, plant shrinkage, the war on drugs. And I think if we don't have folks at the table, then we'll continue to be on the menu.
Absolutely. Sister Sheila, same question.
Well, you know, I would echo a lot of what Daphne and Derrick said about what motivates them. I am motivated by my passion. I started as a community organizer and social worker in my early 20s right out of college, and spent a lot of my career in the human services field. I have gone back and forth into local government, and this time I've been with the county for almost 6 years. And what motivates me is the opportunity to change the system from the inside. I agree with Derrick. The system is the people who are a part of it, and they put rules and policies and funding decisions and all of that in place on purpose. So my motivation is to say our government should reflect our community because it needs to be about our community. And so I am, as a Black woman, feel really strongly that I need to play that role on the inside and be able to shift some of the systems and policies that are being made that are harmful for our community.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Derrick. Thank you, Daphne. Next question. Let's start with Derrick this time. And it's a bit of a long question, but here it is. Wondering, what are some challenges that you have experienced working within the governmental system, especially as a Black leader? Second part of that question is, are there any lessons you have learned on your path that might be helpful to other leaders and other Black leaders who are seeking transformation within their organization?
Ooh, that is a long one.
That's a long one. What
think,
challenges and what learnings might be helpful to others?
Yeah, I think that, you know, if we really want to understand any problem, you know, in America, that we simply just need to focus on who profits from that problem, not who suffers from it. And a big challenge for me, I think, is that our focus tends to be more on who suffers from the problems. And I think that we oftentimes struggle with lacking the imagination and the will for a system that survives outside of the commodification of Black and brown bodies. I think what I've learned is the importance of what it means to be myself, my full self, and like bring my full humanity into spaces. For example, like you can't live through some of the things that many of us have encountered, but I'm just going to speak personal, local, and immediate. Many of the things that I've lived through as a Black man and that I've witnessed, it's challenging to go through those things and not have some kind of real raw emotion about it.
Yes.
But one of the other challenges I face is that emotions are political, right? So I'm asked to be an exceptional Negro with a non-emotive faith, share in a tone that comforts white fragility. And that builds within me an exhaustion and a rage as I'm just stuck trying to comport myself. And so I've learned it's important really to not shrink myself in spaces. I think that when we assimilate, we shrink the space for the next Black person coming behind us because there's this false narrative being portrayed. And it's like, well, why can't you be more like Derrick? And it's like, well, maybe they're being more of their authentic self, right? As opposed to the challenge of what it means to have to assimilate into space. And so I would say, stay true to yourself, be authentic, balance your activism and your advocacy while being able to expect and accept a level of non-closure.
Thank you, brother. Sheila, same question to you.
Again, I find myself saying right on brother to Derrick what I feel as well. So hopefully I'll try and comments that build on it. I think exhaustion is a huge challenge. And I think it is, I feel it deeply because sometimes the system moves so slowly, no matter how hard you push. And one of the things I think as a Black leader is sometimes you can feel like a change is about to happen. And then the people within the system get nervous, or the white leadership gets nervous. And so there feels like a pullback or something that's less than what needed to get done. And that's really challenging for motivation, for wanting to keep going. And the exhaustion that comes from always having to represent and always having to watch use things so that people don't shut down and they're listening. It is just, it's tiring. What I think I've learned that may be helpful, and this is probably no news to everybody, but just keeping your eyes on the prize. I always think, why am I doing this? What's the end result? As Derrick said earlier, he's motivated by his kids. I've got 3 teenagers and young adults, and I think about them all the time and what kind of world am I creating? And what kind of system do I want them to grow up in? What kind of county do I want them to grow up in? And so being able to keep my eye on that and the end result, I think you can pound your head against a brick wall for 20 years if you know eventually it's going to go through. So that does happen, and sometimes it will take 20 years. So keep your eyes on the prize, figure out the ways that you fill yourself up, make connections with other Black leaders and Black folks within the county, and use that to support you. Keep going.
Some wisdom in there, sister. Thank you. Sister Daphne, same question, please.
Yeah, I can really appreciate what Derrick and Sheila said. And I've often said when I started my career in public health that I got more respect from community leaders and from our community partners than I did within public health. I can recall being at a meeting early on in my career where we were talking about food insecurity for the Black community, especially in South Seattle. I sat there in that meeting and I looked at these strategic plans and I listened to what they said, and then something just hit me. And I asked a question. I said, how many people in this room has actually been to South Seattle? How many have actually walked through Columbia Health Center? How many of you have actually went to bed hungry or worried about how are you going to feed your kids? I still remember the looks on their face. I can imagine what they were saying. The audacity of this Black woman to come into this meeting and question us, rewrite the plans. We do the strategic planning. We know the community. And I realized then as a Black woman, because I just stuck my foot in there, that if I was going to fight for the Black community and be a leader, I couldn't let public health off the hook. I needed for public health leadership to see my point of view, to understand that I represent that community, that I'm working with that community, because I needed public health to be empathetic and to understand that their viewpoint is not always the right viewpoint, because until you can get community in that room and you hear from community, you're not going to change. So my lesson, anyone that wants to be a Black leader, because I never wanted to be a Black leader. I just wanted to help people, and that's what I wanted to do. Anyone that wants to do it, the one thing I'll tell you what I do is the first thing I do is I listen to what they're saying. I learn about what data they're using and what they're talking about. Then I plan. I strategically plan what I'm going to do, and then I enact it, I deliver. Because if you're gonna sit in a meeting and you're gonna talk about inequities, and you're gonna talk about how we need to improve as a Black leader, you need to demonstrate and do it. I'm respectful, but I'm forceful. I don't let it go. And so that's my lesson to anyone. If you are going to do it wholeheartedly. Get friends like Sheila and Derrick to be your backbone and help you, and make public health change.
Thank you for the truth and the real that y'all are bringing today. Appreciate that. Something about the truth. right? It rings in your head. And the other thing about the truth is you decide what to do with it, but it's going to stand. You can stand with it or you don't have to, but the truth stands. And that's what y'all are bringing today. Appreciate it. And I have one more question. I'm going to start with Sheila this time. And our last question is, what gives you hope and sustains you on this journey? Sheila.
Mm. It actually gives me hope just listening to Daphne and listening to Derrick and listening to all the other Black leaders in the county. We are strong, and there is some strong leadership that is a part of the county right now, just absolutely strong leadership. And I believe in that, and I believe that we're going to be able to make the shifts and changes that we're going to do. So I'm hopeful because of the energy and the people.
Mm-hmm.
Black leadership right now is remarkable to me. What sustains me is just, again, knowing why we're doing this and having a real clear idea of where this journey is headed to.
Yes.
Being able to keep my eye on that. And finally, I would say the community. Community gives me hope and sustains me. I know in that partnership that I need to be where I am so that people we're doing in community has someone to talk to, so together we can begin to shift how government is working and responding to things. So all of that gives me hope and sustains me. And finally, I look to our youth. I'm excited about Gen Z. I just have to tell you, these young people are teaching us all every day that I see that in the community and the activism, and I see it in my own house with my young
Yes.
people. I am hopeful for the future.
Me too. Thank you, sister. Sister Daphne, same question. What gives you hope and sustains you on this journey?
What gives me hope is that public health has finally recognized that racism is a public health crisis and that we're finally listening to community. We're finally saying we need to let the community drive how we provide services, and that's a great thing. And what sustains me is that these young people, the people that we're hiring to come into public health, they have that energy that we need. They have the ability to continue that push with the county and say, we need to hold you accountable. And that's what gives me hope.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. And last but sure enough, not least, Brother Derrick, what gives you hope and what sustains you on this journey?
One of the other lessons that I take from our dysfunctional journey has been that significant social change has always come through the people movements. It's never began with top-down forces, right? Whether we're talking civil rights, Black Lives Matter, Occupy, labor movements, and to witness what's happening, not just in this country, but all over the world. The activism of young people, young and old alike, working as a social change ecosystem is inspiring for me, and it gives me hope. And I also come from a strong faith tradition, and despair, I heard someone once say, despair is the feeling that tomorrow will be just like today. And I believe that hopelessness is the enemy of justice. So what gives me hope and sustains me is the blood of my ancestors, like my grandfather, Peter Flowers, who died on a plantation, saving the life of a cattle whose life was thought to have more value than his. And what inspires me is that same blood that gives life to his grandson, my son, Judah, and the opportunity that we work to build a better and a brighter future, and that tomorrow will absolutely be better than today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for your journey, your commitment, your brilliance, your beauty as Black people, your strength, your convenience, and pushing against the inertia, which is the system. Thank y'all. Thank you, community. Thank you.